Comic creators, your new crowdfunding launch sidekick is here. The comic book crowdfunding planner from ComixLaunch is your ultimate step-by-step companion to planning, optimizing, and executing your crowdfunding campaign, helping hardworking creators stay organized, execute with confidence, and maximize success on every launch.
Hey, I'm Tyler James, publisher of Comics Tribe and host of the ComixLaunch podcast,
which has been helping comic creators launch successful crowdfunding campaigns for nearly a decade. In that time, I've seen the same struggles come up again and again. Making a great comic, but no idea where to start with crowdfunding it, overwhelm at all the steps to launch and fear of missing something important, exhaustion during the campaign, and struggling with the emotional roller coaster of launching.
and finishing the campaign and still being unsure what worked, what didn't, and how to get better results the next time. If any of those challenges sound familiar,
you are not alone, and it's not your fault. Crowdfunding a comic requires a completely different skill set than making one. The good news is I have something that can help. To celebrate the 10th anniversary of ComixLaunch, I've distilled years of my own crowdfunding experience and the insights of hundreds of amazing guests I've had on the show into one essential tool. This new comic book crowdfunding planner is really 4 powerful books in one, designed to help during every phase of your launch. First, it's a launch planner, providing a step-by-step roadmap including guided templates and battle-tested ComixLaunch exercises to build a winning campaign. Second, it's an execution checklist, including action items and pro tips for every aspect of your project so you can launch with confidence. Third, it's a daily campaign journal with dedicated pages to track your campaign progress each day of your launch, prioritize your daily promotional activities, and stay in command of your project. And fourth, it's a post-launch debrief with a proven post-mortem process to capture what worked, what didn't, and what you'll improve on so that your next launch is even better. The Comic Book Crowdfunding Planner is perfect for first-time Kickstarter creators who want a clear roadmap from start to funded.
When it comes to running a Kickstarter, I never thought I could do it until I started using Tyler's tools and tips and tricks.
I have raised over $40,000 US. Everything I have launched has been done using the ComixLaunch tools. It's been the backbone of my success as a creator.
Experienced crowdfunders who want to refine and optimize their launch processes and get to that next level of funding success.
I've raised over $30,000 on Kickstarter. I wouldn't have been able to accomplish this without ComixLaunch. Tyler's guides have made it an effortless and stress-free process.
Tailor-made specifically for comic book creators, writers, artists, and publishers looking to streamline their campaigns and optimize their crowdfunding efforts.
The ability to break down the daunting task of running a Kickstarter into small, well-defined, achievable tasks gave me the confidence to finally launch a campaign.
I really needed an instruction manual, and that is exactly what Tyler gave me.
Perfect for anyone who has struggled with crowdfunding overwhelm and could use a physical tool to help focus before, during, and after your launch.
The timing of finding Tyler and his work was perfect for me because I didn't know what I was doing.
What helped me was getting access to all of the tools that Tyler puts together.
6 campaigns raised about almost $27,000, and I can honestly say I wouldn't have had anywhere near the success without ComixLaunch.
The tools included in Tyler James' planner were essential to getting the ball rolling for me.
Everything I know about running Kickstarters I learned from ComixLaunch.
Finally, it's for all the thousands of ComixLaunch listeners who have been asking for a resource like this for nearly a decade. For rewards, the new planner is available in a number of formats. A beautiful physical planner with a durable faux leather cover, digital PDF version with ready-to-print pages, and discounted multi-pack bundles for creators and publishers with many project launches on the horizon. All backers will be thanked by name on the ComixLaunch podcast, and there's limited show sponsorship opportunities available. I'm also opening my schedule for a few one-on-one crowdfunding coaching and mentorship opportunities, and you can also get access to some of the ComixLaunch Pro courses during this campaign.
Let's make your next launch the best one ever.
Back the Comic Book Crowdfunding Planner today, and I can't wait to see what you launch next.
Prepare to launch in 3, 2, 1.
All right. Hello, hello, hello. Tyler James from Comics Launch here. Good to be with you once again and on today's daily live stream. This is the last daily live stream to help promote and get the word out about the comic book crowdfunding planner, because this is the last day for the planner launch. I have a great crew of creators hanging out backstage that will be joining me in just a bit. And I can't wait to talk to them about their launches, their projects, and everything that they have going on. But before we bring them on for the conversation, I want to just give a little bit of a preview of what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to give a quick update on the ComixLaunch comic book crowdfunding planner progress and update. I'll be thanking some backers. I'm going to teach a daily the last daily launch lesson of this little daily live stream month. And then we're going to have our conversation with Joseph Kazmer, Jarrod Burris, and James Burton, who will be joining me in just a bit. And we'll talk about their projects, their Kickstarter insights, and just how the world of comics and crowdfunding and the intersections thereof is going right now. So it should be a fun time. But before I do that, I did want to just give a quick shout out and update and progress acknowledgement for the ComixLaunch crowdfunding planner. We just went over 560 backers, and we crossed the $20,000 in funding mark not too long ago this morning. So really awesome. You know, when I always have sort of the goals, and this is actually a page in the planner itself where we encourage you to set your funding goal, kind of your bare minimum you need to make that happen. Then hey, what do you expect that's possible for you? And then what's your like dream goal for this project? And this is definitely we're now sort of above what I thought was going to be possible for, you know, essentially a $29 product is the core product there. And so I'm really thrilled for the amount of backers that we've had. It's definitely more backers than I thought was going to be possible for a niche project like this, but I'm excited. I'm excited about it. And I can't thank the folks that have supported it enough, but I'm going to try. I'm still working my way through backer thank yous. And so the next batch of backers that I'm going to thank today include Sean Brown, Alexander Tabor, Roy Johnson, Standard Comics. Roy joined us a couple days ago for a great discussion. Jose Laurie, Julian Hoxter, Brad, Gavin Andazola, Megan Marsden, Kyle Moore, Scott Richardson, Sarah Antoine, Victor Dandridge, hardest working man in comics, Andy Mangles, Eric C. Martin, William Boyer, Noel Jenkins, Charlie McKelvey, Adriano Ariginello, who was on yesterday's live stream and had some really good insights and some really good tips. So if you missed yesterday's stream, I loved that conversation. I encourage you to check it out. Eric R. Asher, Paul Pert Smith, Adam DeVoe, Mike Ortiz, Colleen Duran, John Colton, Collins, Matt Yoakum, Russell, Evan Michael Carpenter, Jack Scully, Tyler and Wendy Chin Tanner, talented creators, and they run some of the best anthologies on Kickstarter. Shout out to them. I'm hoping to have them on the podcast soon. They've got a new initiative that I'm hoping to talk to them about. Adam Fulford, Randy Monteith, Syndicate Collectibles, Jeremy Staples, Jacob De La Rosa, Jay Magnum, Jason Sandberg, Rich Vincent, and Roman Raves. Thanks, everyone, each and every one of you. I have more backers to thank, and who knows how many we will end up with as we are seeing with this campaign, even a little bit more of like an end of campaign surge than I've been seeing, you know, with some of the comic launches. And that might just be the fact that this is a different kind of project and product, and it's the target market is a little bit different. So it's exciting to see them come out. But yeah, I appreciate each and every one of you. And one of the ways that I've been trying to show my appreciation for the creators that are supporting this campaign, and all the creators out there that are tuning in or have listened to Comics Launch at any point over the years, is by providing a daily launch tip and a launch lesson. So this is today's Comics Launch tip of the day, an appropriate one for the final day of this particular comic crowdfunding planner launch. But the tip of the day is that every campaign is a step toward the career you want and the legacy that you'll leave behind. No matter how big or small, no matter the size or result, every crowdfunding campaign that you launch is a meaningful step forward. It's about building your body of work, your reputation, and the creative career that you dream of. It's not just about funding a book or, getting the next project over the finish line. You're actually, by putting the time and effort and energy into this thing, you're making a declarative statement about the creator you want to be and what you want to be known for. And so it's important to just take this mindset and think and spend a little bit of time, not just thinking about the nuts and bolts of this launch, but the big picture. This is sort of a crowdfunding growth mindset that I encourage creators to adopt, because every campaign is an opportunity to build key skills. With every launch, you're going to get plenty of opportunity to do copywriting and promotion and budgeting. You'll be printing and doing fulfillment and doing community building. And all of these skills are essential creator skills. These are also skills that almost no one comes out of the womb with these skills inherent. The only way you get these skills is by practicing them. And one of the best ways to practice them is a crowdfunding campaign like this. The other thing that's so true is that every launch grows your audience. Whether you're funding with 50 backers or 5,000, you're going to see, when you do and execute on a solid launch plan, you're going to see progress and growth that comes with every single launch. And if your goal is to have a sustainable career over the long term, if you want to be doing this, not just for this next launch, but for many launches to come, audience growth and continued audience growth becomes like super valuable, and it's definitely something that pays long-term dividends. Likewise, every single backer is a potential lifelong fan. Each person who pledges, yes, they're going to get the rewards that they pledge for, but they are not just buying that book or that product. They're making a small investment into you as the creator. And what we've found is that when you treat those backers right, many of them will come back campaign after campaign, year after year. And so, one of the best things about this current Kickstarter campaign is not only is it growing the audience, and there are some people that are discovering ComixLaunch for the very first time, even though I've been talking about this podcast, doing it for 10 plus years. There are people that are just discovering our archive. There was a creator that is a truck driver that I was on the live stream a couple of days ago, and was having a little bit of trouble just getting his first launch off the ground, and said he only had limited time and spends 10 hours a day driving trucks. And I said, hey, well, the good news for you is that there is literally hundreds and hundreds of hours of ComixLaunch podcasts for free that you can go listen to upgrade your skills. And so that's one of the cool things about launching. But then also there are creators that I think downloaded the very first episode of the podcast that are supporting this campaign. And so, the opportunity to both build lifelong fans with every launch and to grow your audience is one of the special things about crowdfunding platforms. The also important thing to recognize is that 6- and 7-figure crowdfunders rarely are made overnight. In fact, most of the ones that I've worked with it's not been a function of just one launch that changes everything, but it's a series of creators that are launching and learning and leveling up and then repeating this and doing this strategically. Inside Comics Launch Pro, one of the things that we started doing like last year was I started sending out, because I recognized that we had several dozen creators that, whether they've been with us for a couple years or even longer, have now gone over the $100,000 mark in total crowdfunding for their comics, graphic novels, and other projects. We even have one creator that's over the $1 million mark. Actually, there might be one or two that are $1 million plus in crowdfunding raised. And so, sent out special silver pins to acknowledge folks that made it into the six-figure club. But these are creators that in some of the cases, it's not that they're just having these massive blowout launches, but they're steadily launching and growing a little bit and growing a little bit. And they're recognizing that with each campaign, they can make a little bit of a mark onto the creator that they want to be. And every launch, they're sort of leveling up those skills, and they're getting the tools, the team, and the audience to just get to that next level. And that's kind of just consistency compounds over time. So some things to just consider and ask yourself are, what kind of creative life do you want to build? What will it take from the campaign that you're working on right now to move you towards that bigger vision? And then how can I make decisions during this launch and future launches that support long-term career goals and not just the current project? And so that might look like doing the hard thing, but not necessarily the easy thing. That might look like going above and beyond when you fulfill your rewards, because you recognize that what you're trying to build is lifelong fans. That might be over-delivering, under-promising. And also making sure that the projects that you choose are projects that, when all is said and done, you want to be remembered for. The Comics Launch Planner is designed certainly to help you focus in on one discrete project and get that launched and funded. But there are also elements in there that will help you grow as a creator. Specifically, the post-launch debrief reflection pages are designed to both capture the top insights from the campaign that you will hopefully have just funded and succeeded with, but also set you up and prime you for future success going forward, so that you're capturing all the lessons so that you can level up. There's also the focus that, and the hope is that when it's all is said and done, and you're 1 year, 2 year, 3 years out, you then have this planner as a discrete artifact for that launch, and something that you can review before you start your next planner and before you start your next launch, where it's all that learning, everything that you did to get the results that you got were captured in one place that's easy to grab and easy to flip through, and to remind yourself of what it took to get the results that you got, so that you can get them again and get them even at a higher level. So in short, every launch you do is a launch that will sharpen your skills, expand your reach, and lays a brick in the foundation of your creative career. Don't just think about the campaign. Think about the creator that you're becoming and the career that you're building. And hopefully tools like the Comic Book Crowdfunding Planner from Comics Launch will help you move forward with purpose. All right. And with that, it's as good a time as any to bring on the great group of creators that I have assembled here. And we have some returning champions and James Burton. We have some new creators that are joining us on Comics Launch for the first time. So I'm going to introduce these creators, and then we'll take a look at their projects. But joining me today, we have Joseph Kazmer. Joseph is a lifelong comic fan and writer, and he is working on a cool project called Collision Force with his fellow comic fan and friend, Jarrod Burris. Jarrod is from Western Pennsylvania. He grew up as I did in the 90s era, and his comics are kind of reflect that love for larger than life storytelling. And so welcome Jarrod and Joseph. And then we also have James Burton. James has been on the podcast before. He's had 5 successful Kickstarters under his belt and has contributed to a number of crowdfunding anthologies. And he is currently working on a project called Damage Inc. So welcome, everybody. How y'all doing today?
Outstanding.
Yeah, good to have you here. So I guess I want to look at some projects to kick us off, because that's why we come here for. We come here for the goods and the good stuff. And you guys have a project that looks really great that's going on. Jarrod and Joe, we'll start with you. Collision Force #1. The action comic of your fever dreams. What do you have in store for us here? Tell us a little bit about this project. Maybe start with Joe, and then we'll let Jarrod fill in anything that Joe might have missed.
During the pandemic, I had done a little successful with some gambling, and had some extra money. Talked to Jarrod, like, hey, let's do this. I soon found out the little money I had won was nowhere close enough to do this comic book. And learn a lot of lessons along the way. But Collision Force is our kind of love letter to 80s and 90s action movies and team action comics. We grew up loving G.I. Joe, Jarrod loves Youngblood and Rob Liefeld, and The Boys, Garth Ennis, Punisher. And we kind of came up with this crazy concept when we were in college of Lars Bowman, kind of this prototypical commando, super soldier kind of guy that would fight terror with terror and defend American freedom by any means. And whenever we came up with this comic, we kind of cooked up the rest of the team, fleshed it out, and their mission. And it's been a ride so far. And we launched our Kickstarter on Tuesday, and thanks to the lessons that you taught along the way, I've been listening to the podcast now for a while and try to figure out how to do this whole Kickstarter thing and look at the the resources you've had. Looking forward to getting the planner, and really just excited to get this comic out in the world.
Yeah, it's great to hear that the launch got off to a good start, and this for a first launch, it's always fun to once you get over that first funding goal, and it's just like, oh wait, all right, yeah, this thing is really happening. Jarrod, anything else you want to add, just for folks that are just discovering Collision Force for the first time?
I would say it's big and wild, and you got to have fun. We try to keep it self-contained. It's really outrageous, but not ironic. So this is a real story. We're having fun with it. We love our characters. We're not making a joke out of it, even though it's pretty big and crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's a good-looking book, folks, and I hope people will check it out. And it's definitely high-octane action, and that's when you have one of the best things they say about comics is even the most indie of teams, with like, you don't need a Mission Impossible budget to tell a Mission Impossible type story, or a big budget high action, like it's just pencil and ink, right? So
we were really lucky to get the creator that we had. Chris Johnson did our line work. He did Rifters with Image last year, and he's the star of the show in this book. His art's outstanding. Yeah,
it looks really good. We also have James Burton, who is back on the show, and James has a project coming up. It's actually not Damage Inc. It's not a Damage Inc., right? It's the Ballad of Nod. And it's from the universe, right? But
it's inside of the universe. The Damage Inc. is like Collision Force. There's guys building chainsaws. There's explosions. There's smartassery. There's all kinds of things in Damage Inc. But This is The Ballad of Now, which is a different kind of story. It is inside of that universe, but it's a story about a little girl she's lost her father to cancer, and the grief is built up into literally monsters are coming from the dream world, and the only thing protecting her is a beat up teddy bear by the name of Patches. My sister Kira and I've been working on this for a really long time. My sister Kira is a writer, and she helps me with the project, doing a lot of co-writing, making sure the voices sound good. But the story is basically heavily influenced by me surviving cancer and having to deal with the loss of both my parents, both my grandfathers, my house. Like, I lost a lot of stuff. That's a lot of trauma to get through. And so it turned into these stories that I would tell my children. Toddlers can't really understand when you're going through all that. They just go, hey, Dad's sad. And why are you sad? And they can't really quite understand it. So it turned into these bedtime stories, which is The Ballad of Not.
Yeah, and I was excited to see the first issue get funded a few months back, and so the story is continuing with issues 1 and 2. So it's always, I think the Kickstarter platform is one that, it's great for launching any kind of books, but when you've got something that is resonant and deeply personal, and you get the opportunity to sort of share why it means so much to you on a platform like Kickstarter that you don't always get, like if you're putting it on the comic book shelf or what that, like the extra resonance might not always be able to come through. And so that's one of the things that, does make the Kickstarter platform unique and potentially effective. So I'm glad to hear that, you're able to tell a little bit of that story and the story behind the story, James.
Yeah, it's definitely got a lot of validation from the entire process. And like you were saying before, about what kind of comics creator we want to be, or what kind of, you have to match the project to what you're trying to do and shoot for it, and you can't overshoot it and the rest of that other stuff. There's a lot of stuff in ComixLaunch that helps you figure that out, and it's definitely helped me figure out where I can go with it, making it possible too, like understanding based on what my resources are, what to shoot for.
Yeah. And so with, I'll start with Joe, and to piggyback off the lesson and sort of a bigger picture, thinking about above just the first launch. Where are you hoping to take things with your just comic endeavors? Do you have sort of big picture goals, or is it just, or was this sort of like a post-pandemic, hey, let's see if we can make a comic? But have you given yourself a chance to think about, where you might want to take this? Or
it was originally born that around 40-ish, right? During the pandemic, or on the precipice of 40. And it was kind of, hey, it's now or never. Let's do it. And took longer than expected to get it through, but we're here, and the joy of producing this comic, and just the thought of talking to Jarrod and our artists and saying, hey, I think the explosion on this page could be a little bigger, rather than what you're always dealing with in your day-to-day business life. It's so fun, and we definitely want to continue Collision Force. We have a few issues planned. If depends on how successful this is, probably somewhere between 4 to 6 issues. The first issue is already created; it's done. Aside from some design work. So what we're hoping to do is raise some additional funds that will essentially pay for issue 2's production, and then kickstart that again. And from there, who knows? I definitely would love to do some other comics. I've had ideas cooking around for years. I'm sure Jarrod does too. Jarrod's also a screenwriter. He has some things cooking. So he always has ideas floating around in his head, but we definitely want to continue Collision Force.
Yeah. So Jarrod, was this with a screenwriting background, was this the first comic script that you wrote?
Oh yeah, first comic script. I've always, grew up reading comics, obsessed with comics, but went the screenwriting path. And we had to learn, the dynamics of how to tell the story on the page versus, because with the screenwriting, it's a little more lax. You have a little more room to navigate. With comic book writing, it's so just nail it, get the page by page and the sequential storytelling of it. It's interesting, man. I really got a kick out of it.
Yeah, it's definitely storytelling is storytelling, but the writing for an artist versus writing for the screen is definitely different. And the saying is like there's lots of right and wrongs when doing script writing for screen, and you have to really learn that language. Whereas with comics, what a comic script can be or should be or look be like, there's lots of different formats out there. Still plenty of things that like you can do wrong and you've got to correct when you're writing for an artist or it's a document that needs to be translated by someone else. But it is a learned skill. And obviously going out and finding a artist to bring that vision to life is a big part of the success there. How did you guys go about finding an artist and convincing him to work with you?
I knew Chris. My local comic book store here was Earth 2. Unfortunately, it's out of business now. It was in Sherman Oaks, California. Great store. And around the store, there was a local legend, this guy named Chris Johnson. And he was a customer, and they would have his stuff on the wall. He would draw photos of the car, the guy who owns the place, swinging around with Spider-Man. I was just seeing it. I got to meet him in the store, and his stuff was so amazing. I was just like, this guy, and he's kind of known on the turtle circuit as one of the best turtle drawers for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But he hasn't done. I don't think he's been on a regular book, but his stuff is great. And like when Joe and I were throwing it back and forth, I just had Chris in the back of my head. I was like, I don't know if he would ever be down with this, But thankfully, it was during the pandemic. I ran into him, told him about it, and he wanted to peep it. He loved 80s action, and then he's like, all right, yeah, I'll do it.
Always helps when the artist is gonna have fun, dude.
Oh my God, he was such a joy to work for, and he's really gone on to a lot of acclaim with Rifters at Image Comics. I think the guitarist from Fallout Boy is one of the writers on that. So it's got it's got a lot of heat going on it. But we're blessed to have him, and I would say if you see his artwork out there, snatch it up because he's one of a kind.
Yeah, he really helped us through the process, and we'd never written a comic book, and he kind of forged our path with us. It was outstanding.
Yeah, that's certainly one of the hacks that the first-time writer can do. Is if you don't have any credits to your belt under your name, you go out and you fill up your team with creators that have been in the trenches or have a fan base or have experience, and that especially from when that creator is an artist. It's immediately going to level up the polish of your project and gets people taking your words and things seriously. Comics is one of those things where even though there's saying that like it's a writer's medium and writers get all the glory, the reality is like it is very hard to get people to read your things if it doesn't look good from the cover. So that's a smart way to just make sure that your comic is going to get the best possible chance. Now, James, on the other hand, can write and draw, and does both. But I'm curious because both of you are with these latest projects are doing something which has its advantages, also has its challenges, and that's co-writing. I don't know if it's if it's a lot easier or harder to co-write with your sister versus co-writing with your best buddy. But James, any tips for people that are co-writing in order to like make sure that both people are able to get their creativity out, but not step on one another's toes or not get anywhere?
Well, since I've been in a writing and drawing relationship that fell apart before I worked with Kira, I learned a lot more about how to behave as a co-creator from those experiences. And it really depends on the person that you're working with a lot. The tip I would say is if you are not, actually, let me rephrase that. The best way to do it is to have a really clear view of what you guys are going to be doing that's agreed upon ahead of time. And not to change it, not to change the balance of it, not to argue about whose book it is and all those other things. Those things all have to be cleared up before you start. And that way you both can concentrate on doing what you do best. Like with Kira, she has an amazing writing rhythm. She does dialogue really, really well. And when she's trying to create voices for the characters, she double checks me because sometimes I'll make an 8-year-old character sound like she's 16 all of a sudden, or I'll make somebody sound like a grizzled veteran when they're supposed to be the shocked, excuse me, the shocked newbie into the situation. You have to find each other's strengths and then lean on them. I've been with writers like Keith Carmona and Jeff Aragon who have been on projects with me where they lean on my understanding of the mechanics of comics, like you guys were talking about before. The medium itself needs to have certain guidelines or rules that have to be followed and understood, even in order to break them correctly when it's time to break them. And even then, there are certain ones that can't really be broken. Drawing motion on a page, as an example, is something that certain writers I've worked with, like every single panel's got motion. Motion messes it up for the artist because they can't actually depict it unless it's in a very specific way. And understanding each other's strengths and limitations is really important, and understanding them and agreeing upon them ahead of time is absolutely paramount. And I would highly suggest, unless the person is family like it is with me and Kira, you need to have a contract ahead of time. Even if the contract is as simple as I do X, I do Y, this number of issues, this number of pages. The things like having a writer give you 54-page scripts for 21-page books that you sign on to, all it's going to do is lead into arguments and other problems. So it's all about the prep and making sure everybody understands what they're doing, what they're agreeing to, what they're being a part of, so that everybody's passion can shine through and you don't have to trip over all that crappy teenage drama.
Joe, had you and Jarrod collaborated on something maybe other than a comic before? Or was this really the first time that you put your head on something creative together?
We've worked creatively in the past. We met in college, so we would read each other's short stories, do some proofreading, editing. Jarrod's spelling and some of that proofreading grammar back in his early 20s wasn't the best, so he'd recruit me to fix those little spelling errors back in the day. And and of course he'd ask me for feedback too on those scripts as well. So we collaborated. This was kind of our first time writing together, so it's interesting to hear from James that perspective of making sure that you have an outline up front of expectations. I think that's important, and that's great advice to set those expectations up front of who's going to do what. And, what happens if there's an issue? Who decides?
What happens is I have a project that I spent 3 years drawing, 4 issues, so total like 200 pages, that's tied up in like a legal argument, and I'll never see print. That's what happens.
That's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of these stories. You hear them from time to time, and it's tough. It's tough when you put so much of your time and effort into something, and then for one reason or another, it goes awry. So, and a lot of times, sometimes it does seem like it's unavoidable, or it's nothing. Not like even if you had a time machine, it's the correct stuff to do, other than saying "Don't do it," like just walk away. It's not really clear exactly where it goes wrong. But on the just on the logistics side of working back and forth. I don't know, Joe and Jarrod, if you guys live close enough that you can get together and talk this stuff over a beer or coffee or something. But what were some tools or things that you do to get on the same page, to go back and forth, just logistically for people that are doing co-writing? Because I know there are probably creators that are trying to do it across country or across continents, and to work with their collaborators. But what worked for y'all as a process-wise?
Yeah, right now, Jarrod's in Los Angeles. I'm in North Texas, and I've been in Pittsburgh, a little stop in Florida, and now I'm here. So it has been a bit of a challenge, and we can't just sit across from each other at a table and talk. What it has been are video calls, phone calls, and then for the writing, we just found Google Docs was the easiest thing to do. That way, you can share it. It's in the cloud. You can comment. Changes. That was definitely the easiest thing to do for collaboration in that way. I mean, it's pretty cool too when you're working with somebody. You write your script, you make some comments, they accept them, they decline them. Very easy.
Yeah. It's I haven't done a ton of co-writing stuff, but the few times that I've done it, it's always fun where you can all right, I'm getting all of my creative ideas out there, but knowing that they're a little raw or a little misjointed or other things. And then, the next time you log in, someone else has gone through, added, twisted, mixed things around, and the back and forth, mini writer's room effect it's a lot of fun, and can be, especially if you got someone that is sharing a vision with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Even though I mentioned the worst case, it's not worth forgetting about the best case, which is the fun of that creative experience. When I'm working with some of the people I mentioned, or any of the guys I work on when I'm doing the anthologies on Orange Cone, it's always that back and forth, and it's always fun. It is so awesome when you send off a page or a sketch or something to the writer, and the writer comes back and goes, "Dude, that's so much better than what I thought." It's so and it's just those are positive experiences, and they're absolutely worth all the risk and all the effort that it takes that it might go the other direction. Because when it goes the other direction, dude, that was one experience, and yes, it sucked, but compared to that, I've got 7 or 8 other writers that I worked with that it was great. And after the bad one, it was hard to keep in mind that there's all these other good possibilities. But once you start to stretch your legs and stretch your skills and learn from others, you get to make a lot better stuff, and you get all that awesome feedback from the others that are in that same group. It can really go well. Even if it doesn't go the way you expected, it can still go really well.
Yeah, I love that. So Joe and Jarrod, you working on it, you're happy with the issue, the art's coming back, it's great, but now you got to come and put together a Kickstarter campaign. You mentioned that you listened to the ComixLaunch podcast, so that gave you some ideas, but was there more, did you guys have more difficulty coming up with what you wanted to do for the book or for the campaign itself? Were there any disagreements there, or did one of you sort of take more of a driver's seat on planning the actual Kickstarter campaign itself, and how'd you make those decisions?
Joe is the one who is basically running the Kickstarter. I went out, for me, it was getting blurbs from some of my friends in the industry, Sheldon Lettich, who did Bloodsport and Rambo 3 and tons of 80s really good movies, Double Impact, and Kevin Lewis directed Willy's Wonderland, and he also directed the movie I wrote, Pig Hill, and a lot of Jason Baker, who did the special effects for WWE and Terrifier 3, and then, which was one of the funniest ones, was James Bruner, who wrote Missing in Action, Invasion USA, and The Delta Force, which are all A+ inspirational movies. And that just came around because gathering blurbs and from friends of mine. And I was watching the guy who cut our trailer. I was hanging out at his place, and we were watching episodes of Renegade. And then we pop in his Blu-ray of Invasion USA, and we're watching the special features, and I see James Bruner pop up. We hear his story. I'm like, oh my God, he's awesome. Look him up on IMDb, and I see his email. So I go, all right, well, let me see if I can send him the copy. He's the sweetest guy ever. read the book, loved it, and then he just gave his endorsement, and it really meant the world to me. It was just like those little things are some of the real joys of doing this, reaching out. Also, like in using our social media and doing an email blast. Like I've never done an email blast before to all my contacts. I felt kind of dirty at first, but this is what we, me and Joe have spent so long on. It's so important to us. The character of Lars Bowman, who's the head of Collision Force, he's like our third friend. Like in between us, Joe and I have talked about Lars Bowman for 20 years. When we were at WrestleManias together, we're talking about what would it be like if a guy was, had 2 chainsaws on a quad going through the forest, like this sort of insanity. And we've had him in our mind for so long, to see him realized, I don't know, it's a really special feeling,
Yeah, I mean, running a Kickstarter, when we created this book, we were naive to the whole process of, you can create a comic. How does it come out? Oh, maybe a company will pick it up and you'll put it out and it'll be on the comic shelves. And wow, that's not true at all. We made a couple pitches. Jarrod tried some contacts, back channel contacts through the movie industry. None of that worked. We're left with this book. It's done. What do we do with it? And luckily I came across Kickstarter and I saw Tyler's resources. I came across a couple other creators who have achieved tremendous success on Kickstarter. I'm like, well, this is the path. This is what we can do. We can do this. And it definitely takes time to prepare, create an LLC, learn graphic design on Canva and all this other stuff along the way. You created all these social media channels, and luckily I have Jarrod to help me on that. It's a lot of work. How do you deal with it, James? The whole promotion aspect, the Kickstarter aspect.
So Tyler has an opportunity to make fun of me here because he and I used to text about this. Most of it is panic and indecision and paralysis. And I go through that for like a year. And then I hit a button and all of a sudden I have to go back through all my ComixLaunch stuff and get my crap done in a flurry. And he's always reminding me that I can't stay a one-man show, that I need help and reach out to other people. And I have been more than I have in the past. So to answer your question, basically for me, I have to just understand what the steps are, understand what the plan is, and keep going. Like the planner that Tyler's talking about, I handmade a planner. Oh, I don't have near me, but I handmade a planner out of like printing out stuff from ComixLaunch and then glued them all together and made like a hand binding thing so that I had like step-by-step things printed out to try to keep myself guided. And even then, that got the mechanicals of the Kickstarter all the way done. But when it comes to what you're talking about, the reach outs, the going to other people and the getting momentum, that is a social thing that I've always struggled with. And by not starting early and by getting quiet when I'm focused on other things, like it said, it's a very different skill set than being a creator. And it takes time, just like every other skill, to build. And in 100% honesty, I've been listening to ComixLaunch. I'm one of the guys that listened to it since it started and was like making notes and making plans and trying to figure out how I wanted to do it, because I haven't really dreamed of being a part of the bigger part of the industry. My heroes are guys like James O'Barr and Sam Keith, that a lot of their success, while their names get mentioned in other bigger ones, it's because they were a huge part of the indie scene and doing things on their own and expressing really passionate projects. And like Tyler was mentioning about my work before, that's what I'm chasing, and that's the creator I want to be. But along with that comes all that weight. And so it really just comes down about making the decisions, making the plan, and following it so that paralysis doesn't just set in and slow you down.
Yeah, there's so much work to do. More work than I ever imagined.
Yes. making teasers, making
and what you will also find when you get through this launch is, and as you even learn more, because I'm sure you had this, James, where like you went through the Comics Launch course once, and then when you go back again, even if you've reviewed stuff, it's like until you've already been through the entire process, certain things you're going to miss things. There's going to be certain things that you might have wasted a lot of time worrying about that had minimal impact, and then that sort of last minute email that you sent out that you thought was just going to be overkill, and you go back and you look and it's like, wow, that email that I sent with 4 hours to go was the most opened email besides the first email that I sent of the whole campaign, and generated a lot of things. Like just little things that you'll learn along the way is really can be priceless. And it's, I've been doing this for a long time. I think this planner launch is like launch 38 or 39 for me across different brands and things that I've managed, just for projects that I've managed. But there's no shortcut to actually all of the stuff that needs to get done. Yes, you can bring in help. Yes, you can optimize and you can organize, but sometimes there is just a laundry list of stuff to do. But usually when the worst part is when it feels like there's so much to do and you have no way to prioritize it. And so you end up doing nothing or just spinning your wheels or starting down one path and then second guessing it and doing something and then doing something else. Like that can really take momentum out of the way. And so, doing things like James does, where, hey, let's just print out these checklists. Let's just, all right, I'm turn my brain off and just focus on executing, sending those emails, doing those social media posts, make half a dozen graphics in Canva. Like, it's that initiative during a launch where you're just taking action and taking forward momentum action that helps you get through it. And then when it's all said and done, you can go back and look back at what worked, what didn't, and try to get better with the next one.
Like there was a bunch of reach outs I'd never tried before, reaching out to different review websites and whatnot that I'd never done. I did a lot of them last time, and I didn't get every one of them. Not everybody gave me feedback, but there was like 5 or 6 that were like they got lots of views or whatever, that I didn't expect it. And that's something I do a lot to myself. I'll expect not to get, things back from my efforts, and then decide, oh, that's probably not worth it, and not bother. But it doesn't work like that. It's like, if you don't take your shot at a bunch of that stuff, and if you don't just screw it and start moving, like Tyler said, it's that paralyzation that screws me over more than anything else I can think of.
Yeah, I was really surprised too. We created some pretty expensive rewards on our Kickstarter, and we had some friends that just came through for us. And day 1, day 2, we're talking $350, $200 pledges. Like, boom, done. Like, wow, I'm overwhelmed. So take your shot. I was happy I did that. And we're like, let's go big, and it paid off.
Yeah, but there's something about going big you got to remember. You want them to be things that you can control, right? Because there's big items I put out there before that took me 9 months to fulfill because I had to wait on certain things. So it's absolutely true. You get something on there that's big, but you need to get something on there that you can control. I made the mistake once of putting on a 3D doll that I figured out, somebody suggested to me that I could modify to look like one of the characters and all this other stuff. And it worked. But it took me a year to do it because I am not a sculptor.
We didn't go that big.
Well, that's the idea. Make sure it's inside your skill set. If you're going to get out of your comfort zone, there's nothing wrong with that. But be careful how far you go out of your comfort zone.
It's absolutely true that sometimes our appetites can get bigger. And so, like something that served me well is like every campaign, take a few shots, right?
Yeah.
And also know that like, if you put something out that's like, oh, well, that was a big wild swing and nobody takes it up on it, so what? You know, it's you tried it out. Maybe you'll tweak it next time, change the pricing, add to the offer, and then and then also like understanding the bigger your audience, the more backers that you have, the higher the chances that there are going to be some people in that audience that are willing to jump with you on some of those bigger swings. But it like taking the mentality that this is an opportunity to learn something and to test and to experiment is the right way. And one of the best things about that though is like when you have all these really creative people trying new things, you tune in and you learn stuff. Like even just on this conversation here, it's your guys' first launch, but the idea that Jarrod brought up of, all right, let me think about some of the big movies that inspired my creation. Now let me see if I can contact some people from those movies, even if they're not like the director or the writer, but somebody that worked on visual effects or someone that did just is out there and asking them for a pull quote or sending them the book and getting a response. Like that's outside the box thinking. But when you talk to a lot of creative people, like you get to put together a big toolkit of outside the box ideas. So I appreciate you for sharing that, Jarrod.
Oh, no problem. And I think our most popular big ticket item so far, and that we're almost sold out of, is Getting Killed in issue 2.
Yeah, so people really like being in the book.
Yeah, they love it, man.
That shocked me. On my last Kickstarter, I put that up there too, and all of a sudden, I was getting big ticket drawing items because people want their face in it.
You've done that before, James?
Yeah, it was just as big of a surprise to me as it was to Jarrod. Like getting killed in a book is a thing, dude.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we've had a lot of success with. Like during the last Sync campaign, the like get murdered rewards, they always go quick.
Yeah,
we did have one reward where they could be featured in like be featured in the background of an S&M club, and that one didn't sell. So I guess
no,
people,
but being murdered that works.
That works, yeah.
I had,
but again, you never know. We just probably just didn't have the right marketing for that one. So yeah, I'm curious what else you guys have planned for the year after like just thinking a little bit beyond this first launch. I mean, you Joe and Jarrod, you said the Collision Force #1 is basically done and you're sort of sitting on this and Kickstarter became the right way. So are you hoping to get this out quickly and then get back on Kickstarter with the next issue, or what's the plan?
Would love it. Like we could do Lars Bowman all day, man. Like, so we have issue 2 plotted out. We have the first arc plotted out, the first 6 issues. And we want to keep this rolling, man.
Yeah, Jarrod is, being a little humble. He also has some work he's up to that he can't really talk about right now in the background, which is pretty awesome. So once that's done, we'll get fired up on Collision Force #2, which will happen about the same time that hopefully we'll be getting the books printed and start fulfilling them. And I'm assuming James and Tyler can both tell me about what actually happens when you get that big shipment of books and
oh my god,
dealing with the printer and everything. That's going to be
an
experience, I'm sure.
But first, there's lots of anxiety and excitement when they show up. And depending on how big your order is, you either have to go pick them up from the dock or smaller runs that get delivered straight to your house. And there's this fantastic moment where you're sitting there with the book, and you have somebody taking pictures of you so you can do an open box. And then you open it, and one of two things is about to happen. You are either going to crap your pants because somebody screwed up in the print run, or you're going to be absolutely elated that something you dreamt about for so long is sitting inside of your hands for the first time in your life. It's going to be one of those two. I've had both. So make sure.
It might be both within the same moment where you're super excited and then you notice see that typo or
exactly
that inverted page or whatever.
Yeah, dude, always ask for the proof. Never skip the proof.
Yeah, we're going to spring for the proof, absolutely. And yeah, I'm excited to actually get that out. And then the plan is hopefully to, as long as our Kickstarter does well enough and raises extra funds, then we'll be guns blazing on issue 2. If not, then it'll take a little longer to gather those funds and put it out. But definitely, we plan on continuing Collision Force, and we're so excited. And to a point made earlier, maybe we didn't go hard enough in issue 1. Like, we were kind of limiting ourselves, but the budget's unlimited. You can do whatever you want. You can get like incredibly crazy. Kind of our goal is Fast and Furious level of realism. We're not sci-fi, but we're gonna push the borders a little bit.
Maybe we don't go to space, but yeah,
we can have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean that definitely is one of those checks of after you get your rough draft out. And I was working with Travis Gibbs, somebody that James knows, on a story for one of the characters, Oxymoron, and he was finishing it up, and we got to the end of the scene, and it's like, all right, how should we end this? And I'm like, we could go bigger. He's like, how much bigger? I'm like, well, what's the biggest thing that you could think of? And he's like, all right, yeah, we'll do that. And that is one of the beautiful things about comics. It's like for you guys, it's a couple of just a couple quick panel descriptions to rewrite to expand the scene, and then for the artist, it's probably going to be a lot more fun, even more fun to draw. But
I will say though, that depends. As an artist, I'm going to put this disclaimer out there.
Asking for 1,000 horses storm storm the castle.
I've had that happen where the writer's like, this must be bigger. You need to draw, and I'm like, dude, it's one panel.
Oh my God!
You're talking about one panel, and the person is going to spend an average of X number of seconds reading it. I get that you want this one, but talk to the artist to push it. But there's going to be, the artist has so much time. So,
yeah, I think one of the artists or one of the writers that does this the best for his artists is like Robert Kirkman, where you'll see like Ryan Otley, there will be a couple pages where it's the most ridiculous, like detailed action, just how are you capturing all of this insanity? And then there will be several pages of intense face close-ups or double page spread of just a head.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's clearly
look, Ryan is awesome.
It's the makeup call for writers, but that's something that you get to play with and you get to learn, and hopefully, if, as we said from the beginning, if the communication is good with your art team, that you guys will get into a good habit of making sure that everybody is on board and aligned and not feeling taken advantage of, but also you're pushing the limit for your backers as well.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, so I would just Jarrod, Joe, as we come to a close here, you've got James and myself, who are a little bit more of a veterans at this. Is there any burning question or concern or something you'd like to get our feedback or insight on that you don't know yet, or that you want to ask? We're here as a resource for you.
So let's see. So we're at this point where we've used all of our friends and family, and we've got past our initial funding goal, but we won't, of course, we want to charge towards issue 2. How do we get through that level to get to the next stage?
Yeah,
that's
I'd just love to hear you talk a little bit like next stage. Like what do you mean by that?
Keep the campaign rolling. We want to keep the funds going. It's slowed down, after the first few days.
Yep.
And I don't know if we're technically in that dead zone yet.
You guys are talking about the dead zone. Okay.
Yeah.
Tyler, every answer I'm going to give came from your stuff, dude.
That's all right, man. It's sometimes it hits different from someone different. So that's why I love it when other people teach similar things or similar concepts, because I'm not going to be the perfect messenger or the perfect teacher for everybody. And sometimes coming from a different voice or a different experience or a different framework, it's going to hit different. So please share what's worked for you, James.
So first I'd say you guys are past your goal. You've already funded, which means dead zone or not, you guys are in a place that most of us would kill to be at on day one. Because a lot of us, we get to 70 or 80% on the day one. And when we hit the dead zone, we're in the 90s. And then watching the dead zone as you crawl across the 90s is nerve-wracking. And you're in a good place. So recognize that. Reward yourselves for being there. Talk about the fact that you are there and embrace it. And then after that, it just comes about being present, talking about it with everybody. In my case, I have an email list that I've been building for years. It's not gigantic, but it is filled with really passionate fans who support me. So I make sure that I'm talking to each one of them. I make sure that I'm talking to each one of the groups that I'm in online that I participate in all the time anyway. But I also make sure that I don't do something that is extraordinarily important, because it will kill your momentum. Don't deadlink. Deadlink is where you just sit there and go, everybody that's out here, back it. And then you don't talk to them again for however long, and then it goes up again, and it's the same freaking link, and that same freaking link is in every single group, and it's in emails, and it's all the same everywhere. Like, people worry about insulting the people that are backing them and wasting their time because artists are flaky and do that to themselves. But the good part is that those people weren't a part of those groups, and those people weren't a part of your email list. They all asked to be there, so they want to support you, but support them with respect. Add context. Tell them about what's going on. Get online. Talk about what it feels like to have hit the goal. Talk about what it feels like to think about what the next one is. Talk about the meetings that you just had. Get on there and just involve yourself. The backers are there just as much to back you as they are the project. So let it out. I talk about my kids. I talk about my wife. I talk about what's going on. My email list is really bloggy, personal, like when you read it. I talk a lot about all the crap that I've been through with all the trauma. Like Tyler said, I've been through the ringer. That was no exaggeration. So I lean into those things and I let it be personal. I let it be a part of my life. I talk about it with everybody. I change my email at work on the very bottom of it to add a picture of it so that people see it. And then I get one or two backers from work. I wear t-shirts with my artwork on it. All those little things that you think may or may not be worth it end up becoming worth it in the end. And talking about it and sharing the experience is one of the tools that you have. Everybody out there, there's 2 or 3% of the people on the planet that are creative in the first place. And those are the people out of them. There's an even fewer percentage that are successful. And there's an even fewer percentage of those that have any skills. They just want. Well, there's a whole lot of people out there who want to know what all that's like, who aspire to be a part of all those things. And talking about the process and being a participant in the world in a way that's not just buy my stuff. Drink Coca-Cola. Dude, all of us ignore those ads. We hit skip on YouTube when that crap comes up. But I don't hit skip when it's something that interests me. I don't hit skip when it's a person talking that I know has something to say, that has something of value. ComixLaunch talks all over the place about making sure that you're adding value to whatever you're doing. And there's a pattern there. You put out free sketches from the artist. You put out little bits and pieces of what you've been writing. You put out a script. You put all these things inside of your email letters. You give away the gifts. You don't fear about letting people see the stuff that's behind the scenes. Instead, you embrace it. All those dorky Hollywood nitwits that think it's great to like hide everything back and then release it all at once. Well, we're not all Disney. And we don't all get that big hall of 40,000 people waiting to see it. That's not how it works. How it works is we have to build our audience, and we build our audience by committing to them and showing them the value that we can put in front of them.
Yeah, that's good advice. And from a sheer logistical perspective, How much time do you spend on social media a day or promoting it? Okay.
It's going to be different for every single person because some people are constantly online. Like I got a buddy who is on TikTok with Instinct Comics named Sean, and Sean busts his ass doing things every single day, and he's gotten a lot of success in the TikTok shop because of it. He started early, and he's made sure that he's got a voice. He just released a book, and he's already getting sales for it, like a book. He and I do different things on occasion, but because I'm a father and a husband, and I am a manager in a gigantic logistics facility, I have like $45 million of inventory I have to take care of with a group of people every single day. I can't be on there 7-8 hours. So what it means is that it's kind of like if you're a stepdad and you've got your kids around you, it's more important not that you have your kids with you every single day, but that you're present with your kids when you are there. So when you're going to do the social media, make sure you put forth whatever your best effort is. On the last Kickstarter, what I did is I spent more time editing little videos and then trying to make sure that I was putting them out and making sure that every day I was commenting and being present with other people who have similar projects and people that I know. So I can't give you this number of hours equals this because honestly, I don't track it that hardcore. Tyler tracks it way closer than I do, man. He's got Google all the way up inside of him. But when it comes to like with me, I just look at whatever ones are going to be that I can't do in a part of it. And it's going to vary from day to day. But the important part isn't that you aren't available for all those things or that you make yourself available for 12 hours a day. The important part is that you make yourself available when you can, and then you don't beat the hell out of yourself when you don't get to 9-10 hours. Because then the next day when you get to 6 hours, or the next day when you get to 2 hours, it's going to be worse. And then you know what it's going to turn into? Nothing. Because most of us as creators all have that nagging, doubtful, garbage voice in the back of our heads. You didn't do that good enough. Go take a nap. You didn't do that good enough. Go eat some ice cream. You didn't, whatever the hell that voice says. I mean, mine's way more colorful than that. But the point is, you have to do what you can with it. Watch what's successful and try to make sure that you repeat it, but repeat it with value. And it's not about how many hours. You're going to grow at your pace. You're not going to explode. The comics that hit Kickstarter that raised $1 million, okay? Stuff like what's it?
Like G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Well, yeah, but think about this for G.I. Joe and Transformers. Crazy. That didn't hit like that just because it was the first time anybody released that group. They've been in the media for 25 years, and they were in it before that, it just being a toy. Okay, that was the investment of decades. Okay, Order of the Sick. That's the comic I was trying to figure out. It was the highest grossing comic for freaking like the first 15 years of Kickstarter. That guy did a webcomic for free for a very long time. And when he went on the Kickstarter, a lot of people saw it for the first time and went, oh, it's doing well. I'm going to back it because it looks cool. Wow, this guy's coming out of nowhere. No, he didn't come out of nowhere. He came out of 15 years of busting his butt, drawing every single day, and writing every single day for a decade. Like Tyler has said multiple times, no one comes out of the blue. It's just that you may have caught notice, but that's not what happened. Travis Gibb, like what Tyler's talking about, do you know he's got so many projects that he has been doing for so friggin' long, and he's getting all this momentum now. And I love seeing it. He's a fantastic guy, and he's been helpful to me in a lot of ways. But it wasn't just because he had one idea and it popped out there and did it that way. Success isn't built off of one decision. It's like building a castle. It's made out of millions of stones. And it's the same way with all of this. You guys are at like $2,000 or whatever you're at now. My Kickstarters usually hover around $3,000, I haven't broken $5,000 yet, but I also don't do a million things. I do what I can. And by doing what I can, I'm building it and building and building it. And maybe one day, 6 years from now, I'm going to have $1 million Kickstarter. Maybe 10 years from now, I'll have something else. I don't know. But it's about building all those things with good choices, one at a time, being present and adding value, not about how much time you spend every day.
Yeah, a lot of good insights there from James, and just, you know, the way to think about it. And, you know, for you all where you are, one of the things that I always try to remind myself is just always challenge your base assumptions, right? So, you know, in talking, you probably have the base assumptions like, all right, well, you know, all my friends and family, they've all come out already. So now how do I reach other people? The reality is probably you maybe have scratched 20 to 30% of just the friends and family bucket. And I imagine there are people in your world right now who know you, like you, trust you, but either don't really understand Kickstarter or don't even know your Kickstarter is live. And so there is still probably an opportunity to do some education for the people that want you guys to succeed, that if you were like having a beer with and sat down for 5 minutes and just had to say, hey, what are you up to? Oh, this is what I'm up to. They'd be like, oh, tell me what I need to do. How do I support this? There's still probably a lot of those people in your world. And the reason we, especially for our first launch, want to prioritize getting as many of those people out is that every time someone backs your campaign that already is bought in on you, they are an ambassador for your campaign. And anytime anyone brings up comics, 80s action movies, 90s comics in the next 30 or 27 days, they're going to be like, oh, I got the book for you. Yeah, my buddy Jarrod's doing it. Oh, my buddy Joe has got this really cool project on. You know, you love muscles and blood and act. Like this is your thing. So that's one little bit of mentality. And then the other thing is, in a lot of ways, like, I want you guys to envision, like, you need to envision in yourself what the next 27 days and the roadmap and the path of your campaign that you want it to take. Have that in your head first, and then go out and make it happen. So when I'm looking at your campaign, 2,500 past your goal, 44 backers. Well, what's happening? What's happening when you hit that 50 backer milestone, right? Like, this is your first launch. This is for your first comic, for your first publishing, you know, initiative. So it's like, you know, if I'm one of the first 100 backers to ever support anything from you guys, can I get a sticker? And can you tell me about this sticker, or can you tell me about, or is there something I can get to be like, hey, are you good? You know, are you going to be one of the first 50 or one of the first 75 or one of the first 100 to ever climb on board this thing, and make a big deal about that? And then when you get to 50, well, what's the next milestone? What's the next? This could be stretch goals. These could be things. And you know, it doesn't even have to be anything huge. Like, it could be like, hey, guess what? First 100 people that support this thing get to join us for a private Zoom where we're going to watch one of these movies and do like a, you know, what was that Mystery Science Theater 3000 or whatever, the show where they commentate and they pause and they talk about it or whatever. Like, have some fun with it, you know, and that will pull people in and get people talking and make it an event. So those are just a few quick off the cuff ideas that I hope get you guys talking. And it's like, all right, we're initially funded. What's the next milestone in this 27 or 30-day launch?
Yeah, those are great suggestions, Todd. I totally forgot. I did not push milestones as hard as I usually do, and it was an opportunity I noted for myself on the next one. And one thing that I want to bring up that triggered an idea after you mentioned it, you have to teach some people about Kickstarter. There are literally comic book professionals I know that think Kickstarter is a GoFundMe, that think that it's a charity thing, that they don't understand it. And taking time to make the time to explain it is also another way. Each one of these can be events. Each one of these can be live broadcasts that you talk about. Hey guys, this is what happened. Let's explain some of this. Let me show you how you do it on Kickstarter or whatever. all those things are opportunities to either make milestones or make streaming events, and each one of them has that incremental chance, that 1 or 2% of getting into the backer.
Yeah, I've been surprised how many first-time Kickstarter people we have. We've been so blessed and grateful that friends, family have come up. Oh, I don't know what Kickstarter is, but they signed up and they pledged, and it's awesome. It's such a great feeling to see. Oh, first time on first project back. Man, thank you.
Yeah, and that's and so if you see that, it's like, oh well, we got a lot of first timers. So now how do we connect with the broader Kickstarter audience? So another thing that is a strategy that we've taught that a lot of people do is just put your curation hat and look on Kickstarter right now. Spend just 20 minutes scrolling through Kickstarter right now, and like, what are the top 10 projects that you guys want to back from the perspective of a backer of your project, and then be the curator of, oh, and while you're here as first timer, here's another project that we think is cool. And then after you send that, go introduce yourself to that creator of that project and tell them you shouted them out in your newsletter to a lot of your first time backers. You don't even have to ask for them to do the same, because the power of reciprocity will kick in. And even if it doesn't, now you're on the radar of a creator who's serving a similar audience as yours. And so it might not be this launch that they share, but it might be the next one, or, this is how you sort of build your connection. And, this is an opportunity for, as I said, not just launch a project, but launch yourself as creators on this platform. And so there's a lot of opportunity there. Well, this has been an awesome conversation. I got a lot out of it. I hope people got a lot out of it as well. James, is there one thing that you want to tell folks about the upcoming launch of the Ballad of Nod 1 to 2, whether it be a reward or something you're hoping to do during the campaign to give them an extra reason to hit that notify me button and be there when you launch?
It's super early for me, as I just got this activated. However, some of the things that are going to be returning is I'm definitely going to do the Draw Me Into the Comic. It was last year, on the last Kickstarter, I did that, and I got this awesome 4-page story that was just about that backer. And that's exactly what I'm going to do this time. So somebody's going to be a part of that. The story itself is got a lot of mental health positive aspects about admitting that you're grieving and about going through that process and about the support you get from your family. So there's going to be a lot of things that we tackle, a lot of emotional things that we tackle as the story goes on.
Awesome. Well, I hope people check it out and support your work, James. Appreciate you being here. Joe and Jarrod, when it comes to the Collision Force campaign, we've talked about a few of the cool things you're doing. Anything else that you want to highlight or just encourage people to take an extra look at in terms of rewards, or just anything else that you're going to be doing to promote this book?
Yeah, I'd like people to know just how important this is to us. Lars Bowman and Collision Force have been something we've talked about for years, and we can keep this going. I think that, we can generate a fan base. I think you're going to love it, and each issue will get crazier, funner, but we're telling a story, and you guys are going to love the Ballad of Lars Bowman. It's going to be a huge story, and we're going to have a blast telling it, and I hope you guys love it.
Yeah, big guns, big muscles, big action, all the way.
Yeah, that's what I tell my son we got in our house too. But,
yeah, man.
You got
I love it.
Project with dual wielding chainsaws.
Yeah, maybe not yet for that one. My 7-year-old would probably say I could go do that. Well, gents, great time hanging out with you. Good to get to know you, Joe and Jarrod. Always a good time with you, James. I appreciate you sharing your insights. And for everyone else that tuned in, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got something from this, and we can't wait to see what y'all launch next. I do want to just one final sign off and acknowledgement. We've got 10 hours to go for the Comics Launch Planner. Definitely have exceeded the initial goal by a lot.
600 backers is definitely within the reach, and that would be an awesome milestone to hit. Mostly because I know that behind those 600 backers will be at least 600 awesome projects that, even if they're 5% better, 10% better, 20% better, that this campaign can help them. Or even if it's the same campaign, but then it gives you a place to capture those lessons so that you can do better, even better on the next one. It'll definitely be worth it to me, and I hope it'll be worth it to all of you. If there are questions still about the planner, hit up the Kickstarter, shoot me a message. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any concerns or things that you're looking to potentially you're on the fence about. I'm happy to answer those things. I'll be hanging out today. But otherwise, humbled, blessed, and appreciative that so many people have come out to support this project here all month long, and especially on this final day. So thank you so much, everyone. And we will talk again soon. Bye, guys.
The Comics Launch Planner is going to give you a roadmap so you can launch confidently, whether this is your first campaign or you've launched a bunch. Hey, I'm George O'Connor. I've kickstarted 10 projects raising over $50,000, and Comics Launch is a big reason for my success. Tyler has studied Kickstarter for over a decade, and he's going to help you avoid pitfalls and give you the best insights to make sure that you and your project shine on the platform. He's also going to help you with the mental aspects so you can stay sharp and positive and professional throughout the entire launch. This planner is going to give you the tips and insights Tyler's created from over the years of studying the platform and helping hundreds of people launch their projects. As someone who's been with Tyler since the beginning of Comics Launch and has absolutely benefited from his insights and trainings, I cannot recommend the Comics Launch Planner enough.
I've been using the tools from ComixLaunch since 2020 to run all these successful Kickstarter campaigns. When it comes to running a Kickstarter, I never thought I could do it until I started using Tyler's tools and tips and tricks. He really has this great way of putting everything together and making it so easy to tackle. So something big and challenging like a Kickstarter campaign becomes really easy to do when it's broken down into these steps. My name is Melissa J. Massey, purveyor of fine fantasy comics and tragic shenanigans. I would recommend this to anyone who wants to launch a book or a comic on Kickstarter. It really breaks down the process and helps you to position yourself well so that you can stand out and deliver a fantastic book to your audience. I mean, the results don't lie, and the pile's getting a little hard to hold. So check out the Comics Launch Planner. It's going to be the best investment you make for yourself and for your creative business.
Before Comics Launch, I struggled to raise $3,000 on my first campaign. And since joining Comics Launch, I have raised more than $370,000 across more than 30 campaigns. That's a huge difference. It's quantifiable. Hey everybody, it's Clay Adams. I'm the writer of Blazing Blade of Frankenstein, Dream Quest, co-writer of Carmilla Unbound, Prodigal Son, and co-editor of the Nightmare Theater horror anthology. I wish I had this planner years ago. Tyler, what are you doing? Get on this. Start shipping these things out. Can we just skip the campaign? Let's go.